What's good, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the weirdest videos from all over the internet. Without further ado, let's get to the video. Hope you enjoy this one.
Whatever you do, do not try this curse. First, you need to write down the name of your crush or someone you like on a piece of paper. Next, you need to crumple the paper into a ball and blow on it 3 times and make sure to keep it in your pocket for 1 whole day. If you manage to keep the paper in your pocket for a whole 24 hours, you'll magically realize that your crush will be paying attention to you. You need to then hide the paper, but do not destroy it. Because if you do, or if your crush sees the paper, they will hate you forever.
What am I even supposed to say? Literally the most pathetic thing I ever heard of. First of all, I don't have a crush. And second of all, even if I did, I don't care. On to the next one.
This is the sound of hell. Watch to the end to hear it. In 1970, the Soviet Union drilled the deepest hole that has ever been drilled in human history. Why? They said it was for scientific purposes and wanted to better understand the Earth's crust. So they kept digging and digging and digging. And what they heard down there will scare you. After over 19 years of digging, they reached a depth of 40,000 feet before the extreme heat melted their equipment. But they still wanted to see just how deep they could dig into the earth. Since they couldn't use their equipment again, they decided to lower a heat-resistant microphone to the very bottom of the hole. And the microphone recorded a terrifying audio that none of them could explain. Till this day, people still believe that these scientists cracked open the gates to hell. This is the audio. Let us know if you think it's real or not. 5 more.
Whatever you do, don't watch this movie at night. Everyone always says how Megan is Missing is the scariest movie ever, and it's not because it's actually a good movie, it's because of how realistic it is. Like, this movie isn't some demon, it's not some ghost, it's something that can actually happen online on a daily basis. What makes it disturbing is the way that it's filmed, the bad acting, the bad dialogue, how like natural it kind of feels, and I feel like that's kind of what adds into like the weird, creepy vibe. Although I do feel like the movie is a bit exaggerated because I feel like the people in the movie are a little too underage for like everything that's going on. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's a little weird. However, right when it gets to those last scenes, it doesn't feel like a horror movie anymore. It feels like you're going through something that you're not supposed to see, and it's super disturbing and it makes you uncomfortable. Trust me. I think that's what makes people genuinely afraid of this movie. It's not because of the jump scares, not because like, oh my god, it's just such a horror movie. It's just the idea of that something like this could happen to someone in the real world. And honestly, after watching this movie, you kind of space out and like overthink about it all night, about how many people actually have gone through this, so many like cases that this movie, like there's just so many possibilities. This movie isn't just fantasy, it's something realistic. So let me know in the comments if Megan is Missing made you uncomfortable.
This is by far one of the worst ways somebody has ever died, and whatever you do, don't look up the picture. This was 35-year-old Jill Greninger, and she was employed at Economy Locker Storage Company that was in Muncie Township, Pennsylvania. And inside of this factory, they had a bunch of industrial-sized meat grinders. The meat grinder that was involved in this story, I don't know exactly what style it was, but every single picture I pull up has this type of design. On April 22nd, 2019, Jill Greninger was inside of the factory hard at work. And what unfolded next, nobody is 100% sure about. There weren't any cameras that saw it happen, and there weren't any human witnesses that saw it happen. Jill was on top of a rolling ladder above one of the meat grinders, and they either speculate that a piece of her clothing got caught in the blades, or she simply just slipped and fell into it. Regardless of how it happened, Jill fell into the meat grinder. She would fall headfirst into a bladed system like this. Another employee inside of the building heard some sort of horrific sounds coming from one of the machines. The coworker then went over and noticed that Jill fell into the meat grinder. Since Jill fell into the meat grinder head first, the coroner believes that she hopefully died almost instantly. The head portion of Jill's body was basically gone. After this incident, the factory was investigated, and they found 11 serious violations inside that factory, and because of these violations, the company was fined $49,000. This death is terrifying those first few seconds were for Jill when she fell into the meat grinder. I also find it weird how the fine was so low, especially when these safety issues resulted in a death. But nonetheless, this death is absolutely awful, and may Jill Greninger rest in peace.
Remember, your Amazon Alexa is always listening. In 2018, a girl named Alexa came home to her apartment to find her creepy stalker landlord in her kitchen. She screams and threatens to call the cops, and he just smiles and says, "I was just checking in on you," and leaves. Feeling totally sketched out, she spends the next few hours down the hall in her friend's apartment before finally going back to her room to go to bed. That night, she woke up to her Amazon Alexa responding to someone in the room. It said, "I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Did you say I'm watching you?" The girl instantly turns on her lights and looks around, but no one's there. So she unplugs Alexa and is about to go back to sleep when she hears what sounds like a man grunting in her closet. As she's staring at her closet, her Alexa turns back on.
If that's the landlord, that's the ugliest landlord I've ever seen in my life. Matter of fact, on the planet. Put him in jail.
Terrifying games you shouldn't play, Part 9. The Answer Man game. If you win this game, any questions you might have in life will be answered correctly. But if you play it incorrectly, you'll lose more than just the game. To play this game, you'll need to gather 10 of your friends and have them stand in a loose circle. Each person should pull out their cell phone and call the person to their left at the same time. At this point, one of two things will happen. Either all of the phones will go to voicemail, in which case you'll have to try again, or one of the phones will get an answer. The person on the other end of the phone is the mysterious Answer Man. He will answer any questions you have in life correctly, but be warned. For every question you ask him, he will ask you a question as well, and you have to answer truthfully or you'll lose the game. If you cannot answer one of his questions truthfully, he will come for you within the next couple of days and collect his payment in flesh instead. In order to end the game, you must repeat that it is time for the Answer Man to go until he finally hangs up the phone. He will try to argue with you and even offer you bribes to let him stay on the call, but you must stay strong. It's also recommended you destroy the phones after the game. Comment whether or not you would play this game, and follow for more.
This little boy starts drawing people hanging from his room on the ceiling. Like people hanging from the ceiling in his room. When the dad asks what he's drawing, the boy replies, "That's just my friend, the hanging man. He said, I see him every night. He just hangs there in my room and sometimes bothers my stuff." So of course the dad's like, "Oh, it's just an imaginary friend, right?" Or maybe he just saw this in a movie or something. By the way, since you're watching me eat pizza and I'm making you suffer, your third act has to buy you a full pizza. He then erases the kid's drawing, tells him to draw it again. The kid then draws the man up close. It's just his head hanging from the ceiling with tears coming out of his eyes. The boy explains to his father, "Yeah, I see him crying some nights. I see him with tears coming down his eyes." This is where things get crazy. The dad
Buddy, did you know that you could tell us about the story about the boy and the hanging man that's bothering his toys without shoving a pizza down your esophagus every 2 seconds? Did you know that, buddy? How about you try it in the next clip? The pizza has nothing to do with the story. Do better, okay? Before you go to jail. Thank you.
in the boy's room. This is what he catches.
I'm going to tell you a story about my addiction that made me realize demons are real and it is a spiritual battle. If you're not in recovery, I understand it's easy to say, well, those were just the substances affecting you, making you hallucinate. Damn straight they were, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I saw multiple times. Because when certain things become a pattern, it starts to become real. Yes, I am in recovery from using methamphetamine and fentanyl, and I am going to tell you this demon that I used to see every single time that I would stay awake for at least 5 or 6 days at a time. And the scary part about this is when I went to treatment to get help, I wasn't the only person who's seen it. This would occur around every night of day 5 without sleep. I used to see and start to hallucinate at that point. The creepy thing is I would see this same thing over and over again, and basically it would always happen across the room. It gives me chills thinking about it, but I literally would see this extremely skinny, like skin and bone creature thing, and it would just hand first, like crawl up out of the floor, and it would just pull itself up out of the floor only up to its torso, and it had long hair covering its face. And it would just pull itself up to its torso and then in a flash run itself towards me, and then it would look up at me and then reach up at me, but it would never touch me. And right before you know it, it would just flash, just disappear every time I would be like, ah, like freak out. It was weird that it started to become a pattern. Every time I would go days without sleep, I would see that same demon. And I know psychologically your brain can play tricks on you, but I really started to think the day that it touches me is the day that I was no longer gonna be here. And I started to realize that this is a spiritual battle. And I really felt like I was gonna go to hell if I didn't get clean. This thing was only black and white. There was no color. Let alone it had the deepest black eyes, like just abyss for eyes, just full of nothingness. Almost like it was like my soul at the time. I don't know, if you're in recovery and you've experienced something like that, please drop it down in the comments and let me know your stories. I would love to hear them. And if you're not and you're struggling, I really pray for you to get clean because you deserve it.
Do not use these weird substances, aka don't do drugs, kids. Even though most of y'all are adults, I'm cringe sometimes.
So I guess I will no longer be sleeping tonight because I just got stuck in this comment section. The original video is about a creepy voicemail that this person got, so naturally others started sharing their stories in the comments, and let me just read you a few of these. Now this first one is a little long, but just bear with me. When I was in like 8th grade, my teacher got a call on the classroom phone, like one the school office uses to contact teachers. She had it on speaker so the whole class could hear. She answered and said hello, but no one responded. She kept asking hello for a few seconds, and then suddenly there was this blood-curdling scream through the speaker. It sounded almost robotic, like it wasn't fully human. Then the call abruptly hung up. The entire class went silent. We were all completely freaked out. My teacher tried calling back, but nothing happened. After a minute, she kind of brushed it off and continued teaching, even though everyone was still on edge. A few minutes later, the phone rang again. She answered, still on speaker. This time, all we could hear were footsteps on gravel. In the background, there was a man laughing, just laughing. Then the call hung up again. At that point, my teacher immediately put the classroom on lockdown. We sat there waiting, expecting something to happen, but after a while, the calls just stopped. She eventually called the office and asked who had been calling the classroom phone, and they said nobody called us. On my 18th birthday, I got a voicemail from a blocked number. No ring, just a random voicemail. It had a lot of static, and it was a man's voice that sounded distressed and said, "In 12 years, don't follow the yellow truck." There was more, but was too much static to hear. My 30th birthday is next month, marking the 12th year since then. I've tried to find the voicemail, but it's gone, like it never existed. When I was about 13, I kept getting calls from an unknown number over and over again at like 1 in the morning. It got to a point where I just turned my phone off. When I woke up the next morning, I had 2 voicemails. One sounded like a room full of little kids talking loudly. A school cafeteria is as close as I can come to describe it. The second was the same, but a noticeably clearer voice, also a little kid voice, said, "When are you coming back home?" Not too long ago, my uncle got a call asking for me, which was weird because we don't even talk and he doesn't have my number. When he asked who it was, the guy said, "Are you gonna give me her number or not?" and hung up. When my uncle called back, the man just sat there breathing heavy, then said, "So, do you have her number?" and hung up. After that, 2 black Cadillacs with tinted windows started sitting outside my job. I work until midnight. When I'd leave, one would drive off and another would follow me farther toward my house each day. One night I pulled over in a dark spot with my lights off to let them pass, but they stopped and looked around. After that, it stopped. One time, my grandma got a voicemail, and it was just a woman crying and saying her name. She didn't know the voice, and when we called it back, it said the number didn't exist.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why I hate TikTok. I just hate it for no reason. I just don't fit in on there. It is what it is.
Number didn't exist.
Have you ever summoned a demon before? Well, Mark has. I am back with another spooky story. We're gonna call the person who submitted the story Mark. So Mark attends Wembley Primary School in South Africa, Durban, Phoenix. So it was just a normal day at school and Mark and his friends were playing a game. The name of the game is Pinky Pinky. The purpose of this game is to summon a demon called Pinky Pinky. And the way that they play this game is if you lose, you have to go to the school bathroom by yourself and summon this demon. Their school toilets are very dark, the lights don't work in the bathroom, and the doors are almost completely out. So like the doors are dingy, barely hanging on, whatever. But Mark goes in the bathroom and summons Pinky Pinky. He says that you need to have sour milk, candle, a blanket to cover you. He goes in the bathroom, does what he needs to do, and sure enough, Pinky has arrived. So when the creature first emerged from the darkness in the bathroom, Mark was able to identify this creature as a human or humanoid looking, but Pinky wasn't human. As Pinky splits into three things. The first one is Pinky Pinky as a girl, the second one is Pinky Pinky as a boy, and finally the truest form of Pinky Pinky, which is that of a demon. So the demon wanted sour milk. And Mark, who already knew this, he went into the bathroom with everything he needed already. So Mark, hesitating, hands Pinky Pinky the sour milk. The demon drinks all the milk and now it wants some more. But Mark only had one. Mark is really stuck in this dark bathroom with this creature and he's freaking out and now fear is like all over him. And he's just trying to figure out how to unsummon this thing. When he realizes, oh shit, I only know how to summon it, I don't know how to make it go away. So when Mark realizes that, he starts freaking out and he starts screaming at the creature. Just screaming to the top of his lungs and he's petrified. And suddenly the thing flinged Mark across the bathroom into the sink. And the doors in the bathroom stall started opening and closing by themselves. And mind you, Mark's friends are far, far away from this bathroom. So none of them can even hear this commotion happening right now. At this point, Mark is like, maybe I should just talk to it. Reason with it? I don't know. So Mark says, why are you doing this? I can change all of this. Just stop what you're doing. You can't harm me in the name of Jesus. And as soon as Mark said, in the name of Jesus, the demon laughed and said, demon stops and says, you don't scare me. And everything stopped and everything went silent. Pinky Pinky disappeared and Mark was left in the bathroom by himself. So Mark is like, okay, well, that was weird. So he runs out of the bathroom to go join his friends. He told his friends that he did actually manage to summon this demon. His friends were in shock. So Mark ended up going home and didn't tell his mom what happened because he knew his parents were gonna beat his ass. He went home, kept it a secret. Now comes nighttime. It's about 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. at night. And Mark suddenly starts having illusions of Pinky Pinky. Mark is seeing Pinky Pinky in front of her, asking him to come help us. What does that mean? Well, Mark was shocked and said, in the name of Jesus, please leave me alone. Pinky would disappear. From that day on, he doesn't see Pinky in his waking life anymore. However, till this day, he still has nightmares about being unalived by Pinky Pinky.
Pinky, purple, blue, green, red, yellow. It doesn't matter to me, Ghost, you're getting whooped. I mean, is there something more pathetic than a ghost named Pinky Pinky drinking sour milk in a school bathroom in Africa? Like, how can you even take this demon seriously? You're pathetic. Pinky blue balls, get out of my face.
Let's talk about one of the creepiest Mexican videos on the internet right now, the Payaso de Toledo video. But before I show you a bit of this absolutely terrifying video, let's break it down a little bit. On June 24th, user El Payaso de Toledo would upload this video and go absolutely viral, getting 16 million views in 6 days. And in the video, you see him and his crew exploring La Casa del Diablo, which I think is located in Rosarito, Mexico, when suddenly they start to hear a strange voice calling out for help. And then they see this. I'm gonna show you a little clip. Here it is.
Dea.
¿Y por qué está aquí usted? Nunca lo habíamos visto.
Hoy. Hoy.
¿Se escapó del hospital? Ay, Dios mío. ¿Estás seguro que se escapó del hospital? ¿De qué hospital se escapó?
Payaso, esa persona no está bien. ¡Eres vivo! ¡Eres persona! Porque no contesta. No, o sea, si tiene una y la otra no. Mira, fíjate que no tiene una más. La otra sí la tiene, pero la otra no. ¿Ya viste? Mira, hasta tiene sangre. Trae líquido rojo. ¿Trae líquido rojo?
No conteste lo que le estamos preguntando, ¿eh?
Ay, Dios mío. No, espérate, payaso, porque pudiera ser una trampa y traemos a la Traemos a la diva, payaso.
¿Hasta allá? Payaso, ¿hasta allá? ¡Uy! ¡Payaso!
Mira, no, eso no es algo bueno, ¿eh?
No es algo bueno eso, no es algo bueno, mi gente. Mira, Liz, ¿tú estás viendo? No es algo bueno eso, mi gente. Eso no es algo bueno.
Mira, trae líquido rojo. Trae líquido rojo.
Hijo de su madre. A mí se me hace que es Eso no es algo bueno, gente. Oye, ayúdenme, por favor. Vamos a acercarnos. A ver, vamos a acercarnos, güey. Pero no te escapaste, ¿de qué seguro que te escapaste? ¿De qué hospital te escapaste? Padre nuestro que estás en el cielo, a ver, vamos, amigos. ¡Oh, no mames! Espérate.
Now, I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. Although a lot of people found this terrifying, a lot of people also found it kind of silly, saying that it sounds like Frieza, or saying that it sounds like the dude, the Roar kid. But listen, you can't deny that if you saw this yourself, you wouldn't be terrified. But I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I did giggle. What do you guys think? Is this real? Is this fake? Let me know.
To be honest with y'all, I don't know what they got going on down there in Mexico, but on one thing I do know is I love the Latinas. Anyways, I'm done. Anyways, y'all, that's about it for this episode. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.